Hello sir, this is my report in Coa1 review of cases for executive clemency. Extraordinary circumstances. The board shall recommend to the President the grant of executive clemency when any of the following extraordinary circumstances are present. A. A trial court or appellate court in its decision recommended the grant of executive clemency for the inmate. B. Under a peculiar circumstances of the cases, the penalty imposed is too harsh compared to the crime committed. C. Evidence which the court failed to consider before conviction which would have justified an acquittal of the accused. D. Inmates who were over 15 years but under 18 years of age at the time of the commission of the offenses. Extraordinary circumstances. The board shall recommend to the President the grant of executive clemency when any of the following extraordinary circumstances are present. E. Inmates who are 70 years old and above, whose continued imprisonment is inimical to their health as recommended by a physician of the Bureau of Corrections Hospital and certified under oath by physician designated by the Department of Health. F. Inmates who suffer from serious, contagious, or life-threatening illness, diseases, or with severe physical disability such as those who are totally blind, paralyzed, bedridden, etc., as recommended by a physician of the Bureau of Corrections Hospital and certified under oath by a physician designated by the Department of Health. G. Alien inmate where diplomatic consideration and amity among nations necessitate review, and H. Such others similar or analogous circumstances whenever the interest of justice will be served thereby. Other circumstances. For commutation of sentence, at least, letter A, at least 1/3 of the definite or aggregate prison terms. At least 1/2 of the minimum of the determinate prison term or aggregate minimum of the indeterminate prison terms. C. At least 10 years for inmates sentenced to 1 reclusion perpetua or 1 life imprisonment for crimes or offenses not punished under Republic Act No. 7659 and other special laws. D. At least 13 years for inmates whose indeterminate and or infinite prisons terms were adjusted to a definite prison term of 40 years in accordance with the provision of Article 70 of the Revised Penal Code as amended. Letter E. At least 15 years for inmates convicted of heinous crimes, offenses as defined in Republic Act No. 7659 or other special laws, committed on or after January 1, 1994, sentenced to 1 reclusion perpetua or 1 life imprisonment. For commutation of sentences, letter F, at least 18 years for inmates convicted and sentenced to reclusion perpetua or life imprisonment for violation of Republic Act No. B425 as amended, otherwise known as the Dangerous Drugs 1972, or Republic Act Number 9165, also known as the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002, and for kidnapping, to ransom or violation of the laws on terrorism, plunder, and transnational crimes. Letter G. At least 20 years of inmate sentence to 2 or more reclusion perpetua or life imprisonment, even if their sentences were adjusted to a definite prison term of 40 years in accordance with the provision of Article 70 of Revised Penal Code as amended. Letter H. At least 25 years for inmates originally sentenced to death penalty but which was automatically reduced or commuted to reclusion perpetua or life imprisonment. 2. For conditional pardon, an inmate should have served at least one half of the maximum of the original indeterminate and or definite prison term. Number 3. For absolute pardon, after he has served his maximum sentence or granted final release and discharge or court termination of probation. However, the board may consider a petition for absolute pardon even before the grant of final release and discharge under the provision of Section 6 of Act Number 4103 as amended, as when the petitioner I is seeking an appointive, elective public position or reinstatement in the government service. 2. Needs medical treatment abroad which is not available locally. Number 3. Will take an government examination or is immigrating. Review of cases for parole. An inmate's case may be eligible for review provided by the board provided. Number 1. Inmate is serving an indeterminate sentence, the maximum period of which exceeds 1 year. Number 2. Inmate has served the minimum period of the indeterminate sentence. Number 3. Inmate's conviction is final and executory. In case the inmate has one or more co-accused who had been convicted, the director or warden concerned shall forward their prison record in carpetas, jackets at the same time. Inmate has no pending criminal case and inmate is serving sentence in the National Penitentiary unless the confinement of said inmate in a municipal or city, district or provincial jail is justified. Grant of parole. Whenever the Board of Pardons and Parole finds that there is a reasonable probability that if released, the prisoner will be law-abiding and that the release will not be incompatible with the interest of welfare of society. PPA 2017 P13. Disqualification of parole. In pursuant to Section 2 of Act Number 4103 as amended, otherwise known as the Intermediate Sentence Law, parole shall not be granted to the following inmates: those convicted of offenses punished with death penalty or life imprisonment, those convicted of treason, conspiracy or proposal to commit treason or espionage, those convicted of misprision treason, rebellion, sedition or coup d'etat, those convicted of piracy or mutiny on the high seas or Philippine waters, those who are habitual delinquents, those who within a period of 10 years from the date release from prison or last conviction of the crimes of serious or less curious physical injuries, robbery, theft, estafa, and falsification are found guilty of any of said crimes a third time or oftener. Those who escape from confinement or evaded sentence. In pursuant to Section 2 of Act Number 4103 as amended, otherwise known as the Intermediate Sentence Law, parole shall not be granted to the following inmates: those who, having been granted conditional pardon by President of the Philippines, shall have violated any of the terms thereof, those whose maximum term of imprisonment does not exceed 1 year, or those with definite sentence. Those convicted of offenses punished with reclusion perpetua, or whose sentence were reduced to reclusion perpetua by reason of Republic Act 9346, enacted on June 24, 2006, amending Republic Act Number 7659, dated January 1, 2004, and those convicted for violation of the laws on terrorism, plunder, and transnational crimes. Proceedings of the Board. Number 1. Interview. Any board member or government official authorized by the board may interview prisoners confined in prison or jail to determine whether or not they may be released on parole or recommended for executive clemency. The board or its authorized representatives shall interview an inmate who has sentenced to reclusion perpetua or life imprisonment, or whose sentence had been commuted from death to reclusion perpetua. Before an interview, the board may require a prisoner convicted of a heinous crime as defined under Republic Act Number 7659 and other special before an interview. The board may require a prisoner convicted of laws to undergo psychological or psychiatric examination if the prisoner has a history of mental instability, or in any case, if the board finds a need for such examination in the light of the nature of the offense committed or manner of its commission. Number 2, publication of those eligible for executive clemency or parole. The board will publish in a newspaper of general circulation the names of prisoners convicted of heinous crimes or those sentenced by final judgment to reclusion perpetua or life imprisonment who may be considered for release on parole or for recommendation for absolute or conditional pardon. Thank you, sir.